We're here to bring a new type of news show.
New insight, new style, and new topics every day.
We are News Generation.
Bringing news just for you. It's Monday, June 16th here in Seoul. I'm your new host, NewsGen, and this is News Generation. And joining us today is Ki Kim.
Happy Monday!
Happy Monday. And Woonju is also with us.
Thanks for having me today.
Thanks for being here today. And both are here to speak on behalf of people in their 20s and 30s. And it's Monday, and while that might not be everyone's favorite day of the week, we're kicking off the week by looking at the issues that matter most to young people in Korea. So some of you might recognize me from our news program. I'm an economics reporter here at Arirang, and in my role as a journalist covering the economy, I've been paying close attention to how Korea's younger generations are navigating a tough job market. And this brings us to today's topic on News Generation, how millennials and Gen Z are earning and managing their money. Ki, to start us off, how are people around you coping with job hunting and the rising cost of living?
Sure. Well, for my friends, there are not so many job seekers, but they are at the time where they're looking for a higher paying job or promotion, and some of them are even looking for a career change. But my friends and I both agree that living costs are getting higher and higher. When we talk about the inflation these days, it's people in their 30s and maybe even 40s who are feeling the pinch the most, while consumer sentiment is showing some signs of recovery. The burden of high prices, especially for everyday essentials like groceries, like eggs, vegetables, meats, and dining out remains heavy, especially those who have kids. And many of us are juggling mortgage and loans, and high interest rates are hitting us hard. So even though they say official inflation numbers seem to be stabilizing, the reality on the ground tells a different story. So it just doesn't feel like things are getting better just yet.
Right, so what about you, Woonju? What are your friends saying about this?
Yeah, just to begin with, there's a famous Korean saying that office workers always carry a resignation letter in their pockets, ready to hand it at any moment. But considering the job market these days, I don't think it's a good idea to do so. My friends, some are pursuing graduate studies, obviously in the purpose of increasing their chances of securing a job, but looking at the current job market these days, I think they are more anxious about their future despite their continued studies. And for those who are already working, many feel that they want to take on new challenges, but they often end up abandoning the idea of starting a new journey. Because I think one undeniable factor behind this kind of hesitation, I guess, is the rising cost of living, as just Ki mentioned. Because quitting a job means you're immediately facing the challenges of high living costs. So I think there are so many concerns behind this quitting a job or like starting a new journey these days.
And that's actually very real because I also have a master's. I have a master's in Korean English interpretation. And honestly, the main reason why I went to grad school was because the job market then was also, I felt was really tough, and I felt like I needed that one extra line to be more competitive. And I guess it kind of worked out because that indirectly led me to my job here. So let's take a look at whether the figures back this up. So job numbers came out last week. Ki, can you tell us some of the key takeaways?
Sure, Ki will tell you about the key takeaways. And if you take a look at the screen, according to the recent data from the Ministry of Employment and Labor, the job openings to seekers ratio in May fell to just 0.37, the lowest level we've seen in 27 years. And that's not since the aftermath of the Asian financial crisis back in 1997. So as shown on the screen, you can see a steady decline where we saw 0.76 in 2022, 0.66 in 23, and 0.51 last year, and all the way down to 0.37 this year so far. So simply put, it has become significantly harder to find a job in today's market. And the same report shows that while the number of job seekers under the age of 29 who are enrolled in employment insurance dropped by 90,000, the number of those applying for unemployment benefits actually increased. So the employment statistics also tell a similar story, although the total number of employed individuals rose in April compared to the previous year. Employment among those in their 20s saw a sharp decline of nearly 180,000, and these figures point to a clear, troubling trend. Youth employment conditions are deteriorating even further.
Right, so you did a great job of breaking down those numbers for us, but I just want to emphasize once again, while the increase in number of employed also in May was the largest in 13 months with an increase of 245,000 a year, that doesn't mean that there were enough good jobs to go around. So like you said, the number of job openings per job seeker actually went down, which means more people are looking. In other words, competition is getting tough, which means not everyone will be able to get the jobs they want. So Moonju, do you have anything to add to this?
Of course I do. According to another statistic from the National Statistical Office, as of 2023, workers under the age of 29 had the highest job turnover rate among all age groups while maintaining the lowest job retention rate. So more specifically, the job retention rate for workers in their 20s was 65% compared to 78% for those in their 40s and 50s. This kind of indicates that young professionals are facing an unstable employment structure where frequent job changes or departures are common even after securing a job position. However, considering the characteristics of the MZ generation, it is also presumed that many voluntarily switch jobs or resign driven by their personal aspirations or like dissatisfaction towards the company or just wanting to start a new challenge on their journey.
Right, so it seems like this would also affect spending. So Key, what does the data show about income and consumption trends?
Sure. So in the first quarter of this year, household income did rise, continuing its upward trend. Even after adjusting for inflation, the real income increased. What's striking is that real consumer spending actually declined. So in other words, people are earning more, but they're spending less. So this also ties to the growing number and popularization of wealth. The data shows that while the top 20% of the earners saw their income rose, their consumption actually dropped, suggesting a deliberate restraint in spending despite increased financial capacity.
Right, so although the average household income rose in the first quarter of this year compared to last year, incomes for lower income families actually fell. So households in the bottom 20% saw their average monthly income drop by 1.5% compared to the previous year. And while the top 20% saw it go up by 5.6% on year, which means that, and it's really important here to really break down the numbers so we can actually see this, that income inequality is getting worse. So Moonju, do you have any other numbers for us today?
Yes, again, I do. Other data also indicate a decline in consumer spending. So according to data from Korean Chamber of Commerce and Industry, real consumption has decreased compared to a decade ago. So while the elderly tend to adopt a cautious spending pattern, despite having assets, younger generations have seen little or no increase in their real income, which kind of naturally leads to an overall reduction in their average monthly spending. Key factors contributing to this decline include the burden of housing loan repayments and an uncertain future, which kind of prompts individuals to cut back on discretionary spending. And just all added up, these financial pressures are shaping new types of consumer behaviors, with many prioritizing on savings or like essential expenses over like luxury or leisure spendings.
So we've talked extensively on the figures, but I just want to talk about this on a personal level. So do you also feel like the job market's been rough, Key?
For sure. We've talked about this job insecurity all the time on the show, and as a freelancer myself, I can really relate to that. The uncertainty of not having a stable position is something that weighs on me constantly, so I often find myself wondering how long I can keep this position at Arirang. And unexpected natural disaster, disease, political and financial instabilities, drastic changes in the field like the AI interference in our fields. So all these elements add up to the uncertainty. So all I can do is just work harder, save for more money for the emergency situation, and just spend less.
Right, so how about you, Moonju? I know you also do freelance work.
Yeah, also being a freelancer, I definitely feel how Key is feeling right now. I constantly have to seek new opportunities, but recently the job openings has been very decreased. There's a decline in job openings. So even when I do secure a position also, it tends to be unstable, which I believe many freelancers share this concern. Since my roles are not permanent, I always worry about my future, which in turn forces me to limit my spendings. So the more I save, the longer I can sustain my life in the face of high living costs, especially if I were to suddenly lose a position. So the uncertainty surrounding freelance work, as just Key mentioned, kind of adds another layer of financial stress for me these days, I think.
Right, so even though we're all in different phases of life and doing different kinds of work, it's obvious we're all thinking about jobs and also how we are spending our money. And that's also reflected in a recent poll that we conducted on the Arirang News YouTube channel where we asked about people's job status and how their spending has changed. So we asked, what's your current job status? And here were the results. 47% they are currently working but have changed jobs, and 22% report that they have never worked and are not actively seeking a job. Another 18% said they are currently in their first job, while 13% they are taking a break from work. And for our second poll, where we asked about the changes in people's spending habits compared to last year, 51% of the respondents said they are spending less, reflecting a more cautious approach to their finances. Meanwhile, 26% reported no significant changes in their spending habits, and 23% they are actually spending more. So for more insight into these trends, stay with us. After the break, we'll speak with a millennial living here in Korea to hear firsthand how the job market and spending habits are affecting young people today.
NewsGen wants to hear from you. Go to YouTube and search our channel Arirang News. Click Community and leave a comment down below. Make a new type of news with us.
Joining us today is American millennial from Seoul, Mark Harris. Thank you for being us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Right, so before we start off, do you mind telling our viewers how long you have lived in Korea?
I've lived in Korea for almost 15 years.
Wow, okay, so this makes you the perfect person to ask this question. So given the ongoing economic challenges, in what ways have you diversified your income streams?
Actually, I've created a YouTube channel where I use my experiences around Korea, traveling in Korea, working here, just living here to help other expats or potential expats who want to come to Korea by giving consultations or just sharing a lot of my life experiences through my YouTube platform. I've also used my travel experiences to make digital products and paperback books about Korea.
All right, Francois, I definitely have to sign up your channel. So for the 15 years of your experience, have there been any noticeable changes in your spending habits, and in what ways are you saving money here in Korea?
Yes, I remember when I came to Korea in, I think it was 2010, taxis were very cheap. So I could, go anywhere I wanted to go with taxis. But these days, I'm like, wait a second, can I walk there or can I take the metro or bus? Because the taxi prices have gone up. Also, I used to eat out a lot. And while I still eat out, I don't eat out as much during the day. Instead of going to fast food restaurants or luxury restaurants 3 or 4 times a day, I'll choose like one good place where there's really good quality food. And that way I can spend a little bit more money on quality food. I don't have to eat as much during the day, which saves me more money.
Yeah, I do feel you, and I think I'm doing the same. So our last question today for you is, how is the economic situation these days in Korea compared to the United States? Do you find anything unique about what it's like in Korea here?
I think there's inflation in both the United States and in Korea, and this is an unavoidable, situation in every country. However, I do feel that in Korea, even though there is inflation, I'm able to save a lot more money living here than I was in the United States. Things in America, they cost a lot, and it's difficult sometimes for ordinary citizens to navigate daily life finances. But here in Korea, while there is inflation, I think it's still more easily accessible, the life here, and to be able to navigate finances than in the United States.
Right, so before we let you go, can you tell our viewers where they can find you?
Oh, sure. You can find me at my YouTube channel, Francois Marc, or on Instagram at Dr. Francois Marc.
Right, so thank you so much for giving us your time today. We hope to see you again soon.
Hey, thank you so much for inviting me. And also, Monday is my favorite day of the week.
Oh, great. Okay, perfect day for you to come on today.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much.
So we just heard from a millennial from another country sharing what it's like to experience Korea's job market and cost of living firsthand. Now we're turning our attention to what's being done on a broader level to tackle these two challenges. Key, what efforts have been made to address the challenges young people face in the job market?
So one of the most pressing issues right now is the rise so-called the resting youth. So young people who are neither working nor actively seeking employment. In response, both the government and private sectors have been working hard. We're seeing more collaboration between public and private sector to provide skill trainings, work experience programs, and fair recruitment initiatives. And also, at the same time, we can't really ignore the broader drop in consumptions, and that's why there's growing consensus that more tailored and long-term policy solutions are needed.
Right, so you just covered the job market. Moonju, is there anything being done to boost consumption?
Yeah, of course. So the decline in consumer spending has also been influenced by the rapid inflation following the COVID-19 pandemic. So the government has introduced various policies aimed at alleviating the financial burden on consumers. So as just Key mentioned, more targeted and tailored policies are necessary, I think, to effectively address these evolving challenges.
Right, and that's also probably why the new administration also has been enforcing and calling for, through its Emergency Economic Task Force, for an urgent implementation of another supplementary budget. So hopefully they can provide cash subsidies to boost domestic demand. So to wrap up, what do you both hope to see going forward when it comes to the job market and consumer spending? And what do you think will help improve the situation?
Sure. I think the stabilizing the economy is the very first thing. As an economic journalist, you might have witnessed that we are seeing two big economies, namely the United States and China, constantly wrestling. We rely heavily on both imports and exports of many different items, tariff issues, real estate, inflation issues. So once all of these things get settled down, then we can probably have keen attention to be paid to those who struggle, especially with the young ones, these issues like creating new social policy to help them out.
Right, Moonju, do you have anything to say to this?
Yeah, again, I do agree with Key. I hope the frozen job market will soon become more active. And for the current challenging job market to kind of step up, I think a well-balanced cycle between employment stability and consumer activity needs to be restored as soon as possible. And achieving this balance is key to ensuring both economic growth and job security for many workers. So hopefully we'll start to see progress in the near future.
Right, so hopefully we'll see progress in restoring this delicate balance in the coming months ahead.
So before we just go, how was it as a Monday, as the first day as the host on the News Generation?
Not gonna lie, I was super nervous and scared, but I had the best panelists today. So I feel like it went pretty well. I had a lot of fun to do it with you guys. And so that's a wrap for today's episode of News Generation. But NewsGen will be back tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. Korea time. Big thanks to Ki Kim.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Kang Moon-ju.
It was a pleasure to be here.
Thank you for being here. And to all our viewers, thank you for watching, and we hope you have the best day. We are
News Generation.